Happy New Year, everybody. I've got something very exciting. This is Success Stories. Yes, and Exercises. First ever calendar anthology capturing different voices from people across Parkinson's and their stories, creative stories about how they live and what they've learned. And these are not just testimonies of things that you would think about, my life was okay, and then I got diagnosed and I was scared, and then I started working out, I was fine. Those are what we call boring stories. No, these are success stories. And what we mean by that is people learn through writing fictional accounts, like Matthew Michael Moore here. They learn about the process of living as a full human being, often with Parkinson's and sometimes beyond that, because just because you have Parkinson's certainly doesn't mean you are Parkinson's. Susan Scarlett has this beautiful story here, Harmony Rising. And again, she's using the dragons and mythical lands and things like that. What's that have to do with Parkinson's? Take a look and find out. If you would like to get your copy, this limited edition of Success Stories Calendar Anthology, you're going to go to Yes and Exercise, and you're going to join the Sustainers Circle. That means you're supporting our 501c3, and by giving us a monthly donation, you're going to get a copy of this beautiful anthology and calendar, featuring here Daryl Bertolucci and his story Confidence Interval, which brings forth not just his beauty as a man, but his expertise as a mathematician. And people might only know certain pieces of him, but maybe you don't know his sweetness. Maybe you don't know his attention to music. Maybe you don't know his mathematical excellence, and certainly not his humor. These are things you're going to learn about people through fictional accounts in ways you wouldn't in personal accounts. They've written all of these stories in what we call cinema therapy, something we offer in Yes and Exercise, again, our 501c3, helping people to look at their stories in a different way. So you become the author of a fictional piece to expand your vision of what your life is, and therefore naturally expand your vision of what Parkinson's might be. None of us at this point, unfortunately, can get rid of Parkinson's, but we can live better with it. And that's what we're teaching ourselves to do here. This is Amy's piece, Where Memories Go. And you see Amy as a Trekkie down here. So your Trekkie fans are going to like this. There's a special appearance by a gentleman named Q that many of you would love. Boys of Summer, we're very excited to say, has been accepted by the World Parkinson's Congress. It's a success story too. You're going to see third base if you come to Phoenix in May of 2026 to the World Parkinson's Congress and see about the fourth film in the Boys of Summer series, and again, why it's a success story too, featuring many of these other success stories. Another baseball story, Karen Patterson writing Diamond Pitch right here. And what I love about Karen's story is it was unexpected when she went into writing this. She didn't know what she was writing about, and we were using the film Field of Dreams as our inspiration. We use one film per term, and in this case, this film unlocked something in her own field of dreams, as it were. You talk about if you build it, they will come. This is a very different take on that primal, wonderful idea, and very proud of Karen, who had never written a screenplay before, now has a screenplay in place, and that's going to be out there. Certainly appreciate what she's doing. Sharon Comstock writes Exposure for July, and again, taking pieces of her personal life, but fictionalizing it. It's not her, this character Chrissy, who comes forward to become a whistleblower and to take on the challenges of the unspoken chemicals in her society and area, community that are causing long-standing problems, including Parkinson's. And it's a wonderful call to action, hearkening to Ending Parkinson's Disease, the Parkinson's Plans by Drs. Oken and Dorsey. So fantastic work by Sharon. And again, in the form of a psychological thriller. A different take right here by my friend Tom Honig, a longtime professional journalist, and he brings forth all that into a fictional account of a journalist who has to deal with a cold case as his newspaper is going under the business. We're going back to the late 1990s and the transition from newspapers into digital media. And this happening to this longtime editor, and he's dealing with the murder. And, again, what does this have to do with Parkinson's? The character deals with that at some point. So you see that maybe even in some of these stories, I think we'll see later, They may have nothing to do with Parkinson's except for, you know what, the person who wrote it was a person with Parkinson's or a person affected by Parkinson's. And what we, the Parkinson's community, know is if you have it in your life in whatever form you do, it seeps through everything. So that's why you don't need to write directly about Parkinson's. It's there, for better or worse. This is managing it in a different way. And it truly is improving the quality of life to recognize, wait a minute, I'm creative. I have ability to look at my life and the things I want differently, and I can create whole new worlds. That's what these people learn in cinema therapy. And as we go forward here, we look at Doris's The Unraveling, a short story right here. And look at the nice mirror of the woman in her cover versus how Doris is looking out the window. Doris deals with a very personal, shame-based condition, and not just Parkinson's, but it's judgment of others with disability. And through this character's eyes, she brings forth something of her own character in an incredibly vulnerable way, makes for a hell of a story, and really opens our eyes differently to maybe how we deal with stigma in Parkinson's. So again, a fantastic job by Doris. And now we look at Brad Falk's piece, After the Storm. Brad was somebody who, in his early days of his diagnosis, really struggled with the acceptance of it. Very common for people with Parkinson's. What does Brad do? He puts this into a fictional character named Spencer, a one-off of himself, and deals with what happens if he chooses to continue avoiding. What type of pitfalls are out there? And for those of us who've been in the community long enough, either for our own personal stories or hearing it from others, we know how dangerous it is to not accept the reality of Parkinson's. Parkinson's isn't all good or all bad. Parkinson's is real. It needs to be dealt with. And the more you do to deal with it, the better off you're going to be for a longer period of time. At the end of things, however, there's no cure. Parkinson's is still, we have to deal with it honestly as a story unto itself. Even when people have positive things happen, maybe through DBS or through a new exercise program or new diet or some kind of pill regime that helps them overcome to a degree, Parkinson's progresses. And I know this intimately, again, going back to Boys of Summer and my dad, 24 years into his diagnosis, it's very difficult and painful. And that's why when people try to say it's not that bad, that's a story we need to end. It's not that bad, or it's just old white men, or isn't it just tremors? Those are the opposite of success stories. Those are the type of stories that hurt us, help others understand what Parkinson's is, and get the funding we need so that we can find the cure. It's possible. And stories, creative stories, are a way to help people look at Parkinson's differently. Just like our friend Wayne Rich in his story right here. Wayne tells the language of quiet things, and in it, he tells a story of a man who's very set in his ways, who has to listen when his wife is unexpectedly diagnosed with Parkinson's, and they have a massive change in how they look at life, what they want, what they think is in front of them. Because again, Parkinson's waits for no one. It just is. And either you deal with it and maybe have a reasonable amount of positive success based on what you can do by being active in management, or you don't deal with it, and those are the people who tend to isolate or tend to, have comorbidities, other things come up to get them, and the problems just amplify. So this is a great story of somebody who's forced to deal with a loved one coming with that diagnosis. And the final story for December, for 2026 in December, is by B.J. Beament. It's Revelation. And really, he's talking about a beautiful, beautiful relationship here that is broken in the main character's life, Justin, who is very, straightforward as this agent traveling through time. He's got that element going. However, he's never dealt with an unrequited past of his father, who he didn't know, and the feelings he had about that until that comes up here. And once again, this takes pieces of BJ's life and fictionalizes them to help him gain peace in this. And he's certainly not the only one that's ever dealt with an unrequited relationship, certainly on a parental level, and the haunting feelings that can lead to. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Success Stories, trademarked right there, because unlike other stories that are out there or other storytelling programs, cinema therapy, which leads to success stories, this is unique. And it's not just Parkinson's, by the way. We happen to, through Yes and Exercise, specifically work with the Parkinson's community, but success stories are universal, and we use the hero's journey to put us in that space. For those of you who know Joseph Campbell, you know the stages of the journey and how universal they are through 10,000 years of human storytelling and the similarities we have in this idea of the monomyth. All that and more inside of Cinema Therapy, inside of your success stories. I hope you'll take a look. You can go to yesandexercise.org to get your copy, right? Go right there to giving, and you'll see Sustainer Circle to help us amplify voices, accelerate the cure. This is Success Stories. Happy 2026, everyone. Hope to see you very soon. The Jam for Joy, our improv class, twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Once again, find that on the website, yesandexercise.org. And then our upcoming Cinema Therapy courses, two films that we're going to be focusing on at the beginning of the year. Rocky, which turns 50 this year, believe it or not. Sly Stallone just honored at the Kennedy Center. And Stand By Me, one of the many brilliant Rob Reiner films penned originally by Stephen King in the novella The Body. And that is celebrating its 40th year. So both of them very ripe, ready for our study, and look at them in a different way to understand what do they have to offer us, and what do we have to offer them in kind with our own stories, inspired by the way we look at them through Cinema Therapy. Join us at Yes and Exercise, and let's hear your success story. Happy 2026.